Hi there, I'm Lily, and usually this channel is about knitting, as I'm a knitwear designer and I like to waffle on about all the things I've been making lately and on my needles, and I normally sit down and just chat about that for however long I can waffle for. However, today's plan is a little bit different, as you may be able to tell. So if you follow me on Instagram, where I am at lilykate makes, you'll probably have seen me sharing quite a bit about this already, because big step in my life, big changes and everything. So yes, I bought my first house. I'm 26 years old and finally moved out from living with my parents, bought my first house, which is a 321-year-old cottage. So I think I've thrown myself in at the deep end there, but I just fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. Always knew I wanted something a little bit older, a bit of character, and have ended up with something quite a bit older than I ever expected and with so much character, so I absolutely love it. Been here about 6-7 weeks. I moved in at the beginning of August, so it's not brand new anymore. I've kind of settled in, but as you can see, it's a work in progress. So I thought I'd just film a little house tour video, which, to be honest, I've been meaning to do for weeks, like ages. I kind of had the idea that when I moved in I'd do a little video straight away before I brought anything in. Apologies about the sound, by the way. I just realised it might be a bit echoey in here, but whatever, hope it's okay. Yeah, I had every intention of doing that straight away, and I think just with the whole process of like moving stuff in but not everything, and being back and forth and trying to keep on top of work, and I also had a super busy month work-wise with my freelance job, and just everything was quite hectic, it felt like, and I was kind of thinking, how on earth does anybody do this and film it? Because like I have become obsessed with watching renovation, cottage, house tour, anything like that kind of videos over the last few months, in the lead up, in the sort of limbo period between placing the offer, having accepted, and actually moving in 3 months later. I feel like I just became a YouTube obsessive with these videos. So if you have a house tour or a cottage tour or something like that, cottage gardening tips or something like that on YouTube, I have probably watched it. It's been the background to all of my knitting over the last few months. So I know that people can do it, and I know I love watching them, and I was just like, I want to do that, but it's taken me until now to actually get around to doing it. So anyway, I also then kind of got into the mindset of, oh well, I'll wait until I've done something, and then I've got this to share. And then the more time goes on, the more I realise I will be waiting a very long time if I wait for that. So we're just going to have to deal with the work in progress. And some parts are looking quite nice, some parts are not. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of a tour and hopefully you guys like it. The outside is just one of my absolute favourite things about this house. It was extremely satisfying to jet wash this path, and very necessary as it got very slippy in the rain. Obviously I will have a lot to do getting this all spruced up. I mean, what's this guy doing? There's just so much to do that I'm not stressing about little things. Like, I will get to them as and when. But I did want some pretty hanging baskets in the meantime, because lots of people on this street have pretty hanging baskets, and I felt like I was letting the side down. I wanted in on the action, so now here we are. So everything is kind of covered in plaster dust at the moment downstairs, because the living room needed some work, so it's currently in this state. So I've always loved the idea of like a cute cottagey kind of house, but also natural light is a huge thing for me, and I know that often they're not the lightest of buildings. Often there's quite dark, quite low ceilings, quite dark, thick walls, which is kind of what I was anticipating when I booked the viewing of this one. I loved the photos from the outside, but I thought, it might, I think I'm going to like it, but I think I'm also going to find it a bit dark. And I knew that that was something I was not going to compromise on, was natural light. So then when I had a closer look at the floor plan and thought, that doesn't look like it should feel dark, like based on the measurements and the dual aspects and the window placement and everything. So I thought, I'm going to book to view it anyway. And then I was so pleasantly surprised when I finally came in here and realised that actually not only are the ceilings not particularly low, ignore that light fitting there, I was just like seeing what that light fitting looked like and realised absolutely terrible idea there. Don't know why that is going somewhere else. But yeah, this room is actually, so I realised that this room is actually a pretty decent size, and obviously when I viewed it, it had furniture in, lots of knickknacks and cute little things, and these were all covered in plates up here and lots of cute little things. But it was the size of it that I kind of noticed. I thought, oh, it's actually pretty spacious in here. I mean, I have the camera on 0.5, so just bear that in mind, but you can see it's looking a fairly decent space. And these internal windows, I love that I have like outside windows inside my house. So I just think they're a really cute quirk of it that you don't see very often, because this was the original house. It was actually, well, it wasn't even a house back in the day. It's built in 1703, and from my research I think it was some kind of barn, like maybe hay storage or something, and then in the 19th century was converted into a little block of terraced houses. And then sometime long after that, in maybe the 1960s or something, don't really know, this extension was added on the back. So this would have been the original end wall of the house, which is why it has internal windows, which I just think are super cute. Covered in plaster dust, but we'll just ignore that. So yeah, this is the living room. Favourite feature has to be these stained glass windows, which just, oh, they're so pretty. I love them, they're so unique, just, yeah, special little feature there. Obviously they're just single glazed at the moment. I don't know how old they are, but pre-double glazing anyway, so I'm gonna have to get those encapsulated, which is going to be a big job and an expensive job, but I think it's going to happen just to make it a bit more energy efficient, because as you can imagine, it's an old house that isn't the most effectively insulated, but hey ho. Whilst we're in here, actually, I'll show you somewhere that I have actually moved on to the decision making process, which is figuring out what wall colour to have in here. First I thought kind of a plaster pink, and then now that I'm seeing the actual plaster on there, I think, it's too cool. And I mean, on camera I think it's showing a little bit cooler than it actually is. Sorry, just trying to figure out the best way to film here. I'm very out of practice with this whole vloggy type thing. Is that light better? Not sure. Yeah, so you can see there I was trying a few different yellows, and the one that I thought I would really like, because on other people's photos on Pinterest and Instagram this looked lovely, that's Fire and Ball Hay. It looked like a beautiful buttery yellow on other people's photos. That doesn't look buttery, oops, that doesn't look buttery yellow to me. It looks like sand maybe, I don't know, quite dark. So yeah, it's been interesting to see, kind of a learning curve obviously, figuring out how things are going to look in different lights, and how something in a big Victorian house in a photo might look very different to in a little cottage here. But yeah, it's all part of the process. So I kind of expected that I probably would end up with a Victorian terrace house, to be honest, because in this part of the world, in northwest England, there's just a lot of them about. So if you're looking for a period property of any description, it's just the likelihood is that that's probably what you'll end up with, because there's so many of them. So I didn't expect to have something so old. And I did actually have an offer accepted and go through the surveys and the process with a different house that was a Victorian terrace, and then ended up pulling out of that sale for various reasons. And I'm so glad I did, because I love this so much more, and it was only a tiny bit more expensive in the end anyway. So very glad that worked out how it did. I'm not at all a believer in things being meant to be or anything like that. Any kind of fate, destiny is not for me, but on that occasion I'm like, I'm glad that happened. I'm very glad things worked out the way they did. So whether that means things were meant to be or not, who knows, but I'm happy to be here. Anyway, tangent there. My point being that it's interesting to see how these colours behave somewhere different to what I'm seeing online. So obviously decided that one didn't work. So my current plan is to go with this, which is Lick Yellow 07. So I think it looks quite nice on all the walls in here. I've moved it around, and I'm looking forward to actually getting to the stage where I can put some paint on the walls and it feel like I've made the space my own. So this was a problem that had to be dealt with, this room. I knew that there was no point doing anything to make it nice before the walls were sorted, and obviously now I need to get a carpet as well, but once the walls and carpet are there, I've got some furniture, so kind of ready to go. Moving on to the kitchen, which I absolutely love. And again, was surprised when I first saw it because I feel like the listing photos did not do it justice. So here we are, my cute little cottage kitchen. Tiles, absolutely love these tiles. Just like, they're so unique, they're so different. I don't know how old they are, but they will not be going anywhere. Like, just looking at the detail on those. Crazy. That will have taken someone a long time to do. Anyway, yes, so it's actually a decent space for a kitchen. This angle wasn't shown at all on the photo, so that was a pleasant surprise to see how nice and light and bright it is. I am going to replace that hob at some point, but you know. So currently we have some unconventional things dotted around the house, such as a rather excessively sized bowl with 2 eggs in it, but that's just because everything that was in the living room had to be displaced. So that's what we're working with. Propped her up in the air fryer, maybe that'll work. So in here, that was one of the main selling points actually for me, that was the fact that the kitchen was lovely as it was. So I think I hadn't actually really planned on, in my head I was going to find somewhere that was old and had character, but all the work had been done, because I was like, it's my first house, let's not bite off more than I can chew, let's not go crazy, let's try and find something that's, you know, kind of someone else has done all the tricky parts. And then, yeah, I've ended up with something that has quite a bit of work to do. However, the kitchen was a different story. Like, the kitchen has been done in, I think, 2016, relatively recently. I really like the choices of everything. And it just meant that I think if I was moving in somewhere that I felt like the kitchen felt all yucky and you don't want to use it and it's ancient and needed ripping out, that would really change my perception of how I felt about living there. If I didn't have a kitchen that was nice to be in straight away. So I'm very grateful that this is actually perfectly fine as it is. I mean, the oven did die on me and I had to get a new oven, but so far, other than that, it's all absolutely fine. And I just think it's really cute. Put some of my prints up here. Random selection. There was an abundance of hooks and nails in the wall, so plenty of space to just hang things without having to think about, oh god, where am I going to put stuff. So they're not necessarily in their final position, but I've dotted things around the house just to kind of make it feel a bit more me. So yeah, that is little cottage kitchen, which again, we have some strange things in here, such as a lamp there that should be in a living room, but it's just living here for now. I think this might have, that's one thing that needs touching up actually. I think maybe she had a grab rail or something like that there before. Yeah, and here again, the internal window, which I just think is so cute. You can feel like you're looking out over your garden whilst doing the washing up, even though it's like still a room away. Yeah, so that's the current setup in here. There were a lot of curtains. She loved a curtain. I mean, it's really lovely to hear about, like, because I met the previous owner's daughter, spent quite a bit of time chatting with her, hearing stories about the house. It's nice to see how she put her own spin on it, and I definitely want to keep some of those things. Obviously, I want to put my own taste in places as well, but I'm definitely keeping some of her items because she had good taste. These curtains being one of them, I quite like them. Onwards. It's kind of a funky layout, this house, and you're going to have to excuse the clutter because, like I said, everything's in bizarre places right now. But this room also really sold me on the house because it is so light and bright and everything that I wanted in a Lily space. Light and bright. Telly will not be there, but currently is. Hi. This was a mirror that I bought on, like, the day after I had my offer accepted on the previous house. Got all carried away, went to like a sample sale event with a brand that I saw on Instagram and just bought a few things that I was like, yee, exciting, I can buy house things, and then didn't end up with that house, but they go here, so it's fine. Everything looks just nice, that mirror being one of them. So this was left behind for me and I absolutely love it. It is a perfect knitting chair, my project on there, as you can see. Sideboard that was from Beryl over the road at my mum and dad's house. She was clearing it out. Didn't want it. I said, well, I will. So there we go. Random mirror lying there. It's quite nice seeing like the collection of things that were mine or my boyfriend's or my mum's or whoever, and we've just ended up with them all in one place. It all kind of goes together nicely. So whole stack of prints there that will be going up on the wall. Selection of mine, his, my mum's, whoever's. It's all just working out. So this room is a dining room. That's how it was described. And I definitely want to use it as a dining room, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to lay it out. So this sofa will obviously not be staying here. That will be in the living room. And it was for the last month or so, but obviously I've had to move everything out of there. Hence the fact that the sofa is not on legs and its legs are on the floor. Stunning, really low sofa. That will also not be staying there because it looks daft. It's an IKEA Billy bookcase that I had on its side in my previous bedroom, and I just think it just doesn't fit with the house vibe in the slightest, but I needed somewhere to put yarn, so hey ho. So the temporary cosy knitting corner, it looks all right, but yeah, I need to figure out a layout for this room which is approximately or just under 2 meters by 6 meters. So it's a long skinny room. And I don't know, I mean, this carpet I also love. I think it's really cute. It's probably divisive, but I like it. It will have to come up because there's a section missing. However, I'm going to get a rug made from it, I think. Save as big a piece as possible, get that edged, turn it into a rug, and then put some hard floor down beneath it. So that's the plan for the floor. And I know I need to have a dining table in here, and I like this chaise. But other than that, I can't figure out the best way to make this a useful space. So I actually had my family over for the first time on, well, obviously they've been over for a few times, but I had them over for like a Sunday roast for the first time on Sunday, obviously. So that was the first time having 5 people eating indoors. Previously we just sat outside because it was sunny enough to. And we kind of had the inside table and the outside table put together, and it was all, we squished in here and made it work, and it was cozy and it was fine. And it did make me think actually that this room, if you didn't have the sofa there, you could have it like a one long table, make it like a banquet hall for at Christmas or something. I love that idea. So yeah, I just need to figure out how to have it so that it can be an entertaining space, because I do like to cook and host and things, but also day to day could be a nice space for me to work. I am going to have somewhere upstairs, but here gets more light, so I feel like I'm going to probably want to be down here, but also kind of cozy. I don't know, am I asking too much from one room? Obviously it's a relatively small house, it's only a 2-bedroom house, so you can't fit everything, but I feel like there could be some good solutions here. So if you have any ideas, I'm all ears, please let me know, and yeah, drop me a comment. Over here is also a utility room, see from the outside, but that's just a storage room at the moment with washing and boxes and all sorts, so we're not going in there. I'll continue with the garden tour in a moment because that is definitely one of the best bits of this house, but we'll just go upstairs for now, past all this wood chip wallpaper that is going to keep me very busy, that is. There's plenty of it. Why did anybody do that? I think that was probably a few owners ago, to be honest. Is it 70s, 80s, was that the thing? But anyway, I have borrowed a wallpaper steamer, I know how to do it. Seems to be working all right, just one step at a time, and this hallway, stairs, landing is not the priority, and there is a lot of it, so that's going to be staying for a little while. Spot the hand knits dotted around the house. We have a bag there made by my mum. We have some blankets, that yellow one also made by my mum. We have a cardigan project made by me. We have the top I'm wearing made by me. Onwards. This mirror was not mine. I feel like in the right context it could look really cool. It's just chilling there for now. So, into the bedroom, main bedroom, which again has some unconventional furniture placements currently because it's got all of downstairs as displaced items. But again, as you can see, it's actually a pretty decent sized room, which the listing photos didn't really show. I'll see if I can get it so you... No, you can't have both windows in at the same time, but I mean, you get the idea. Window at the back, window at the front. So plenty of light gets in. I love it on a sunny morning. It's so nice, it's streaming in, and the neighbours are far enough away there that you don't even really need to close the curtains. So I love it nice and light and bright like that. Currently still on a blow-up mattress until this floor is dealt with, because didn't see the point in bringing a bed in to then have it just get in the way. So at least that one can be deflated. And to be honest, it's actually been all right. Haven't really minded it that much. We have the temporary TV/yarn station over there. Just all very peculiar, but hey ho. And the millions, or not quite millions, but plenty of wallpaper samples, because it took me forever to make up my mind. I have now decided this one over here. This is the winner. Potentially, come on, focus. Potentially with some kind of sagey green. Not on this woodwork, because obviously I'm not painting that, but on like skirting boards and things. So as you can see, there is lots of work to be done, but I think the general light and space of this room are absolutely lovely. It feels very me. As soon as I saw it, I was super happy, and I'm excited to put my own spin on it. So going to be wallpaper in here, and we'll have to cover the floorboards with carpet, just because whilst they probably would come up quite nicely, and there's a hearth here, and it would take quite a bit of work to, you know, to bring them up to scratch, to fill in any holes or, you know, sand them down and everything. I'm sure they would look nice, but I feel like in this house I'm going to need all the insulation and all the warmth I can get in an old house like that. So I think it would probably be an unwise decision to stick with floorboards, and I think carpet will feel much nicer and cozier. So hence the patchwork rug situation in here right now, just to kind of fill in the gaps and keep us going for a little while, see if we can make it feel a little bit more cozy. I think it'll be really nice when it's all done. There's just a small matter of this wood chip to deal with first. But yeah, getting there. And yet another feature of this house that was not shown on the photos is this wardrobe here. A big built-in wardrobe. Which of course, my first thought was to fill it with all my knitwear. Filmed a little reel of that the other day. Oh, that's in the way, can't open it any further. You get the idea. Cute. Love having it all in there, all stacked up. Counted, that is, I think, 90 sweaters in there at the moment, which, to be honest, I expected it to fill up more. I didn't expect there to be so many gaps, so I guess that just means that I need to knit more to fill the gaps. So that was the main bedroom, but there are actually two. The second of which is upstairs in the attic, behind this door. Behold the steepest stairs you ever did see. Not going to show you up there today because it A, needs work, and B, is just a storage room at the moment, bags and boxes everywhere, and nobody needs to see that. So we'll move on to the bathroom, which is a project. So don't all be too jealous of my carpet bathroom, but you can be jealous of this bathroom view. How lovely, looking out on the big green garden like that. So obviously needs work in here. This has been here a while and will be, of course, coming up. I had a go at stripping the wall in here just to see how easily it all came off the other day. Wasn't too bad. Obviously need to have that wall all perfectly sorted and fresh skim or plaster, whatever, before doing anything with it. Planning to go for this kind of sagey green and soft pink colour palette, which I think will be really lovely in here. It's also a slightly odd shaped bathroom because it's like over the stairs, but I do think it's quite a useful space. Obviously I have a built-in cupboard there, more built-in storage under here. So my plan is to obviously replace the actual items, the sanitary ware, the flooring of course, But I think in terms of the actual layout, I don't think there is really an improvement on this layout. I've tried messing about with those websites where you can put in your measurements and then plonk the bath here and put that there, you know, like you're playing Sims with your own house. And I've tried doing that, and I just can't really come up with an arrangement that's any better. So unless I end up doing some major structural work to this house with the upstairs, which is a faint possibility, but it's certainly not happening in any time soon, and I want the bathroom done before then. So yeah, unless I end up doing any major remodelling, is that just an American word or do we use it here in the UK? Not sure. Yeah, I'll just be leaving the bathroom layout as it is. So a new bath will be going where the old bath is, new sink there. I do actually have a sink. That's the one thing for this bathroom that I do have sorted, and it's ready and waiting. Going to go for a sink that sits on top of the counter. A, because it takes up less cupboard space, and B, because then it sits a bit higher, and we're both tall people, so I can make my house suit tall people if I want. I mean, you know, not anything crazy. It's still a perfectly normal thing to do, but I was just like, I'm gonna do that because it suits me. Yeah, but that's the plan in here. Just need to figure out the time scales, because obviously this is the only bathroom, so we will be without bath, shower, toilet. Well, currently without shower. Have a shower head on the bath situation, which was an ordeal, I tell you. That was fun on weekend number 1 in here. And required an emergency plumber after the hot tap and the cold tap were attached in completely different ways. Just anyway, that was a fiasco. But does it count as a shower if you're using the shower head but you're sitting in the bath? Because I referred to, oh, I'm going to have a shower, and he was like, but you're not having a shower, you're having a bath because you sat in the bath. Shower's standing up, so settle a debate on that one, please. Is it a shower if you're sitting down while you're doing it? And in here I'm debating whether to stick with quite a light colour like this green, or whether to go a little bit bolder with a stronger shade, just because this is a south facing room that does get plenty of light, so it can probably handle it. Downstairs again now. Sorry if this is a bit shaky, the gimbal was not being my friend today, so we're just handheld on the phone. Heading outside. It's a lovely day. It's been miserable weather for the last couple of weeks, and then suddenly we have summer again, so good job I bought some garden furniture. It wasn't a waste after all. I fell in love with the house as soon as I saw it, and then once I came out into the garden I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much more than I expected, because it is huge. So this tree was rather large, and it stuck out to like here. It kind of almost met that tree. It was huge, so we had a full day with my mum, my boyfriend, my dad. We all tackled this garden, hence the bare brown patch there and the slightly wonky birdhouse and pile of stones. But it just keeps going and going. This is with a lot chopped away, so it kind of was more of a secret garden then than it even is now. These trees were meeting in the middle. They've kind of grown back. So we currently are working our way through chopping down the pile of sticks that was like 3 times that size a couple of weeks ago. That's been some fun days for me there, chopping those up. But yeah, the garden is just huge and winding and beautiful, and I love it. And given that I was kind of expecting that, oh, if I get a garden in my first house, it'll probably be just like a little small one. I can, you know, learn how to keep a few things alive, try and become a little bit green fingered, and then here we are. This is now what I now have to to learn to practice on, so I better get learning quickly. Luckily I know some people that are a lot more green fingered than me that I can learn from, including my mum being one of them. So yeah, going to try and turn this into a really cute cottage garden, lots of plants, grow some food maybe, yeah, plant some vegetables, have some pretty flowers, and keep the kind of windy nature of it, but not with quite so many big conifers. I think that might be quite nice. Currently the only food in this garden is this apple tree, which has been very lovely to just be able to pop out and pick an apple from there. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to be growing all sorts. In my head I'm going to become this domestic goddess that grows all her own food and has a beautiful garden and all the flowers from the garden, and I make, you know, just make lovely dinner from it all the time. And I mean, I think I have it in me to an extent, but like, keep it real, Lily. It's not always going to be like that. So we'll see. We'll see how much I manage to do. Oops. Oh, I thought I squashed a snail. It was only a dry leaf. It's alright. This little archway. How cute. Could barely see this at first a few weeks ago. It was just all strangled by ivy, but the ivy now begun. I'm glad I remembered to film this video on a sunny day, because I feel like you see the garden looking its best. So yes, lots to do, lots to learn, but that completes the house tour. I think we've had, where have we done? We've done all the rooms. Yeah, there's not too many of them. So now I think I'm going to sit down and film a knitting podcast, because it's been a while since I did one of those too, and that's obviously what this channel is mainly about. But I thought it'd be nice to separate the videos, because obviously if anyone has followed me for knitting and then they're like, I don't want to know about your house, I want to know what you're knitting, and that's all I care about, fine, that's what you signed up for. So I think I'm going to try and maybe keep them separate on this channel. We'll see. Not sure. I think finding my feet with actually living here and doing all the things, you know, that come along with a first house and a first, I don't know whether to call it a renovation, but first projecty things anyway. Figuring out how to actually do all of those, and then deciding like how much and how often I want to share, is I'm just kind of finding my feet with it, because I have been sharing a few things on Instagram, and it's been really lovely to chat to people. Loads of people offering advice, and saying that they're enjoying sort of following along with the journey. Some saying, haha, loving watching it, but rather you than me, which fair. But yeah, I've enjoyed sharing some snippets there, but obviously hopefully once I get stuck into things there will be lots more projects and DIYs and successes and fails, I'm sure, along the way. So I think maybe YouTube would be a good space for those, because I know I'm obsessed with watching this kind of YouTube channel. Absolutely bloody love it. Watched so many of them, and in the last few months or few weeks, whatever, I've been reminding myself, I'm like, if they can deal with a broken down wall and building it up again, I can deal with the few hiccups that this has thrown at me. So that's kind of, it's nice to see it from real people, see what they're doing. So here is me, real person in my real little house with my real flyaway hair, figuring it out as I go along, and yeah, take you along for the ride. So off I go to do some chat about knitting now. Thanks for watching.